Hello, everyone. Welcome to Week in Review. Here we are in week 3, moving right along. Remember, this is a 6-week class, and we're going to be moving very fast, as I talked about last week. So, just kind of preparing you for that. The first couple of modules or first couple of weeks will kind of go somewhat more normal. We will have 2 weeks that we will have double modules. I have lightened some of the academic load and activities in those modules, but be prepared. But we go very, very fast in this 6-week course. All right, so here we are in week 2, which also happens to be module 2. Talking a little bit about grading. Grading will be done or all caught up for all of us or for all of you by Tuesday of this week. So look for that. If your grades aren't already in, the rest of the folks will be all cleaned up by Tuesday. So take a look at that. So far, very impressed with what I'm seeing in your learning activities for the week. So good job with that. Now, let's talk a little bit about what we're doing this week. Let's jump into the module real quickly here and see all the various things that we've got going on with risk and return. You probably have heard that concept a million times, but it is so true that you should be proportionally rewarded for the amount of risk that you're willing to assume. And that's what that's all about risk and return. But you'll learn a lot more through some exercises and through some of our reading that we have in here. So hopefully after the first module, you're getting a flow of how the class will work. We do have our readings and presentations. I know I have a lot in there. Know this, that the readings and presentations usually go somewhat hand in hand with the learning activities. Are they going to be exactly the same numbers? No, they're not, but you're going to have some different numbers, but the processes should be the same. I try to make sure that I have a lecture about a process if I'm going to make you do a learning activity on that process so you can go back and look at it and see kind of step by step. So take a look at do yourself a favor. I would say look at the presentations at whatever week that we have. Make sure you're looking at those presentations in there. Okay, they should be matching up with some of the problems that we're doing throughout the week. Now, with that being said, this week is also going to be the first week in Module 2 that I'm going to have homework help. This will be a Wednesday series. It'll come out on Wednesday because it's a Wednesday series, and it will go on through the rest of the course. And it will be a little bit more guided, if you will, on the assignments for the week. So if you feel you need it, watch it. If you're like, Chris, I got it, I'm great, I don't need it, that's fine too, because it does go into some real details, I guess, with the homework for the week. So there you go. Homework help comes out when? On Wednesdays. All right, so take a look at that. Um, all right, so we've got our readings and presentations as normal in there, and of course the numbers are different than what you have on your problems. I have a topic essay this week on CAP-M. I want you to know what that is. You need to know what that is. So if you're graduating from this program, if someone says capital asset pricing model, you're like, oh yeah, I remember what that is. So you're going to be writing a little bit about that. Remember to follow the general format that's in here. Minimum of 2 pages, thereabouts. You're going to be right about for a 5-paragraph essay. If you're answering the question in enough detail, you're going to be right about 2 pages. You need to have those 2 references at the end. Have 2 references. You could have 6. I don't care, but at least have 2. You're not going to get extra credit for 6, but you might need 6. You might need 5, but you got to have at least 2. Have your 2 references in there, not to lose any points on the references. Make sure that you are doing in-text citations to avoid any academic problems. I don't want to say dishonesty; it's so harsh a term. And I think for the vast majority of students, I would say for 99.5% of the students, academic dishonesty is an accidental endeavor where they're not giving credit to information that they've read and they're not intentionally doing it. So just make sure if it's not common knowledge, what do you need to do? You got to cite it. And pretty much everything at this point is not common knowledge. So any pieces of information that you're pulling out of the textbook or maybe another textbook, make sure that you're citing it. Of course, that cite is going to link back to your references. All right, so make sure you have your references in there and that you're following APA style, at least for the body of the paper. You will have a title page and a main body and a reference page. Okay, so it's all said and done. How many pieces of paper will you have? Well, you're going to have 4 pieces of paper, well, digital, but if you will. There's going to be that title page, then you're going to have your body of your paper, which will run roughly about 2 pages, maybe 3, but no more than 3. 2 pages for the body, and then you're going to have your reference page. Okay, all right, so we got that. And that is due Sunday. Now there have been some questions about making sure to clarify the due dates, and I want to show you something that hopefully will make your life crystal clear as far as when things are due. So let's take a look at that real quick. I'm going to jump back out of what we're doing here, and we're going to go to content. That just kind of shows everything in the course, and we are going to go to, let's see, let me move this over just a little bit. We're going to go to the overview, course overview. Got some information about the course in there, little helpful tips and techniques to be successful in the course. But the syllabus is in there. So I do a pretty extensive syllabus walkthrough that we did in the first week of the class, but I'm not going to rehash that. But I do want to draw your attention to what many students say is the most valuable thing out of the whole syllabus, and really it is this point right here, is the course schedule. This will show you what we're doing every week. So notice that on this week, we are in Module 2, and which just so happens to correspond to Week 2. And you have the following items that will be due: the topic essay, the learning activity, and you'll have a progress journal. All due Sunday. That's pretty easy. Just remember, everything's due at Sunday. Now, as we progress, we're going to have one more week where we're just doing one module. That'll be Module 3. In week 4, that's where it's going to get a little bit more interesting. In week 4, we're going to be having modules 4 and 5. Okay, so we're no longer going to be following a week a module, a week a module. It'll be off at that point. In week 6, we're going to be, or I should say week 5, we're going to be doing modules 6 and 7. And then in week 6, the last module or last week of the course, we'll be completing our last module, which will be module 8. Now, again, I've lightened the load for these modules versus what's normally in the modules when we're doing the doubling up. Also, I know that this summer is very difficult for many of you because of what we're calling the overlap. We are having overlap in some of our courses. And that is due to the fact of an unusual confluence of situations at the college where our summer semester has lost a week. We've lost a week. We're 11 weeks instead of 12. So normally we try to run six-week classes in the summer that do not overlap for our professional coursework. There are other classes at the college, and they do not have to adhere to the 6-week format. It is kind of somewhat up to the discretion of the instructor on what format that they wish to choose. I know some of you are also in 8-week courses that may have started in the first 8 weeks of the summer, and those courses will be finishing up hopefully very soon in 2 more weeks. That's also when the doubling, you should be done with your other coursework for the majority of you. For your other courses that you could be having, not all of you, some of you don't. So by the time we hit the more difficult weeks where we're having the double modules, the other course should be done. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, all right, well, take a look at that. This is kind of the most important thing out of the whole, I would say, out of the whole syllabus that'll help keep you on track. Again, I have listed when the modules will be doubling, and you can see the little references down there to modules will be combined in week 4, and these modules will be combined in week 5, all listed pretty clearly down there. Okay, so let's jump back out real quick, and let me finish our little talk about what we're doing this week. So we've got our normal topic essay. We talked about that. We have our learning activity. Again, wait for the homework help if you wish. Wait for that homework to help to come out on Wednesday if you want to watch that. Um, Again, it should help with that as you're working through the problems. And then progress journal. For those of you that have had me before, you know I like these progress journals at least every couple of weeks. Just taking the temperature, seeing how you're doing, seeing how I'm doing. We will maybe perhaps make corrections to the course if something's not working. And this is a good way for me to find out as we're going versus waiting to the end of the course and you tell me something didn't work through our normal surveys that we do. I like to keep a little bit better tab on it because through online learning, that is the one problem we have is maintaining a connection. If we were in a classroom, we could we could be getting that feedback going on almost instantaneously, between myself and the students. But here it's not instantaneous, so we have to kind of push at it and we got to work at it. And one way that I find is really helpful for me is, and hopefully helpful for you, is the progress journal, and it's easy points. Easy points. You're just going to talk to me. I'm going to give you some prompting questions for the week. No studying required, and hopefully there's a nice payoff for it too, and that we can make sure that everything is progressing along in this course and with your program, as you're going through the summer. Okay. All right, so that's pretty much all we're doing this week. Shouldn't be too terribly difficult. Now, let me go ahead and answer some of the questions that we've had this week. Now, the we've had a couple text messages over the weekend. One of them, Kathleen had a good question, which I did answer her on the text, but just keep in mind that whenever you see a sample that I'm doing in a lecture or in the homework help sometimes, you can tell. Sometimes I will change the numbers. Okay, the numbers will be different than what's going to be that I'm discussing or what's going to be asked of you in the learning activities. Hopefully, the big thing is the process. I want the process, I'm going to try to have the process demonstrated. And then you're going to be able to apply that with different variables. Okay, so keep that in mind. But that was a good question from Kathleen. The other one, Rashad had a great question, um, and kind of a great, I guess, a point, if you will. And that has to do again with the overlap that's happening this summer, which I know is kind of difficult. Now, if you remember, I last week I made an announcement and I quizzed you on it uh, that we're going to extend that due date until Wednesday. So Module 1 has been extended till Wednesday. Some of you haven't completed Module 1. That's why some of the items haven't been graded because you haven't turned them in yet. You do have until Wednesday. Now, I am more than happy, to even extend that beyond Wednesday. And I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. I am going to extend that beyond Wednesday. I picked Wednesday as kind of an arbitrary day, kind of in the middle of the week, where you would have been finished with your other course, which those of you that took 6-week courses were done last week or on Sunday. And that gave you a few days to clean up module 1, week 1 in your new course. Now, I know there could be other things going on as well. Some of you are actually in some 8-week courses, which I can't really do much with because that will take us too deep into this course. But what I will do is, drum roll, I will extend Module 1 only due dates until this Sunday. If you need it, my recommendation is don't take it because human nature is what it is, and you'll have to do 2 modules over the weekend. Not fun, let me tell you, not fun. So if you can, try to still stick to that Wednesday benchmark. Try to get everything in by Wednesday. Of course, then I can get it graded and quicker back to you. But if you need it, again, I know the overlap has been difficult for so many of you. And I know you're trying to get through and keep going and running 2 classes. I hate running 2 classes at the same time. As far as a student, it's just very difficult. Take until this Sunday if you need it. Okay, so maybe it's there again if you want to do some assignments on Wednesday and get them in. But just remember everything for modules 1 and 2 in by Sunday. Okay. All right. So there you go. Rashad, thank Rashad for that because he asked for it because he told me he has some other courses going on as well and wondered if he could have a little bit beyond Wednesday. And after thinking about it, I was like, yeah, we could definitely do that. We're all adults here, and how you want to get to that learning objective is somewhat up to you, but we do have to get to that learning objective, and that's my job is to make sure that we get there. So, all right, so we got until now Sunday to get both modules 1 and 2 done, but do be careful because doing 2 modules over the weekend is kind of rough. All right, so there we go. We got that done. So I think we have all the questions that have come through that were kind of pertinent for the week. Double checking the text here. Um, yeah, all right. So I think we're good. Samantha had a question, but I think we already addressed that as well. Um, in talking about how those problems are, take the information from the problems that are in the book and not from the lectures or any other sources. So they kind of stand alone as they are. All right, well, that concludes the week in review for week 2, which happens to be module 2. Remember, if you have any problems, questions, text me. Okay. And as always, thanks for watching.